What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of my content month. That's right, if you didn't know, I'm uploading every other day in November, including some of the best videos I've ever made. So if you want to keep up with the uploads, hit that subscribe button because we're actually just about to hit 50k, which is just absolutely unreal. You guys are the best, and I cannot thank you enough. Now, today's video is one I've wanted to make for a really long time, so long in fact that I've had this idea for almost an entire year. Originally, I was planning to upload this in January, which is of course almost an entire year ago, but that didn't happen, so then I was going to upload it when I was doing daily uploads in March, and of course that didn't happen either, so here we are, third time's a charm. And finally, if you don't know what this video is, an iceberg is essentially a tier list where the things at the tip are usually what the entire community knows about, whereas the deeper layers contain stuff that only very few people will remember. Now with that being said, I'll be doing my best to cover everything known to the BedWars community, ranging from new updates and different modes, to notable players and events, all the way to BedWars' best controversies and glitches. For the sake of privacy, I won't be including any of the really bad things that have happened in the community, such as doxing and extortion, but without further ado, let's hop straight into it. As always, the first layer always contains the things that literally everyone should know, so if you've played a single game of BedWars in your life, or even just watched a BedWars video, you should know everything at this level. With that being said, I think it would be just about criminal to make the first thing anything other than the bed itself. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this layer because we've got a lot to get into, but you should all know that every team has a bed that must be protected, and the objective is to destroy other teams' beds. Up next, we have a star. Now, a star in BedWars is otherwise known as an experience level. Everyone starts at level 1, of course, or 1 star, and the more experience you get, the higher level you become. I'm also going to be including at least one player in each layer of the iceberg, and with tens of millions of views, I think we can all agree that Technoblade was one of, if not the main reason BedWars became popular. I mean, Technoblade is literally the reason that I found BedWars, and I'm sure most of you can say the same. Loot chests in BedWars are rewarded every time you reach the next star, and opening them will give you cosmetics such as projectile trails and kill effects. This one also should go without saying, but a final kill occurs when you kill someone after their bed gets destroyed, because of course if you kill someone while they still have a bed, they can just respawn. And last but not least, quests. You can find a quest master in any BedWars lobby, and he will allow you to activate quests, which upon completion will reward you with coins and experience. We're now on layer 2, which is still above the water, but this layer contains things that most players will know after just a couple days of playing BedWars. Dream modes are special modes of BedWars that add unique twists to the game, such as Lucky Blocks or Voidless mode, and every week there will be a different dream mode to play, which you can find through this NPC. If you have ever played BedWars in a party with someone, you may have seen them type INC in the chat. This is just simply a quick way of saying incoming, meaning an enemy is approaching the base. In Minecraft, the void is always the dark abyss under the map, but in BedWars it takes on a double meaning. Players will often tell other players to void, which means jump into the void so that you can respawn at your island rather than running all the way back, which could take a lot longer. Fkdr. Now this one is interesting because you'd be surprised at the amount of people who don't know what this is. Fkdr stands for final kill death ratio, and it's calculated by dividing your final kills by your final deaths. An easy way to check your Fkdr is through this stats NPC in the lobby. You may have seen someone using the word non as an insult, and while this doesn't really stand for anything, it's referring to non-ranks, meaning someone who hasn't purchased the VIP rank or higher from the Hypixel store. What a great insult, am I right? Now, if you've spent any time in a BedWars lobby, you might notice that different players have different colors showing their star. This is because every 100 stars you get, you will be given a new star color, which is otherwise known as a prestige. If you didn't find BedWars through Technoblade like I did, chances are you found it through watching GamerBoy80, who was not only the first player to hit 1,000 stars, but also the first player to reach 100,000 final kills. He was the king of the leaderboards for the majority of the first couple years until he decided to step back from grinding and instead focus on his YouTube channel. Blockheading is a form of PvP that involves hitting both left and right click at the same time, which greatly reduces the amount of damage you take in a fight, and it's become widely popular in BedWars. And finally, utility jumps, such as TNT or fireball jumping. If you can pull these off, you'll give yourself a huge advantage in game, and they can be used to make some pretty stylish plays. Alright, we've made it through the first couple layers and can now dive into the water for our third layer. This layer has many things that newer players and anyone who has spent a few weeks playing BedWars will know, but also any player who has spent time in the competitive BedWars scene. So of course, the very first thing in this layer is none other than Ranked BedWars. Ranked BedWars is a community-run BedWars mode that involves scoring of games and an elo system to determine who the best players are. It became hugely popular in 2020, but for me I try to stay away from it as best I can because I'm a firm believer that BedWars should not be a competitive game mode. Hypixel has hosted 3 BedWars tournaments, which have all involved teams of 4, and in a similar way to Ranked BedWars, these tournaments use a point system to determine who the best players are. Winners of these tournaments are given the ultra-rare Blaze Pet as well as a statue of themselves in the tournament hall. Every so often, Hypixel will have map rotations, which means the current maps that are available to play will be swapped for newer or even older maps, just to keep things fresh. Now this was something I covered in pretty good detail in my video called 20 Things Only OG BedWars Players Remember, but before BedWars was officially released on Hypixel, it used to be in the prototype lobby and was completely different from what it is today. The most notable things about prototype BedWars were the fact that you spawned with a pickaxe instead of a sword, you could select your team in the queue as there was no party support, and the shops were completely different because obviously it was a lot more limited in terms of what you could buy. Armed BedWars. Now this does fall under the Dreams mode category I mentioned earlier, but I thought it deserved its own space as well just because of how hated it became in the community. I don't know who thought it would be a good idea to add guns to BedWars, but it caused so much anger that I'm pretty sure it was removed, either that or it hasn't been swapped back into the rotation in a while. Now if you've played any competitive BedWars, you'll definitely know what this is. The block-in is a special technique that allows you to quickly bury yourself into a team's bed defense, as you can see on screen. It's extremely useful if you can get really fast at doing it, but I can honestly say there really isn't much use for this in public BedWars matches, as most of the time you can just get beds really easily. Next, we have prestige parties. Now these have been made somewhat obsolete as I don't think you can join any modes with full parties anymore, but what used to happen, as you can see on screen, is when someone was about to hit a new prestige color, they'd gather all their friends and join a BedWars game, but instead of killing each other, they'd all go to mid and celebrate for a while until it was finally time for them to let the prestiging player win the game and get enough experience to hit the next level, thus hitting a new prestige. If you've played BedWars recently, you may have seen someone building with wooden logs rather than the usual planks. This is because the tournament hall is a shop that allows you to buy special items, such as the cluck stack, the clone pet, and of course, the wood logs. You do need to play some tournament games if you want this though. And to finish off our third layer, we have Mr. Manhal IQ, who is the new leader in terms of BedWars levels, and will most likely be the first to hit 3,000 BedWars stars. He uploads frequently on his channel as well, so I would assume most BedWars players know who he is. We now dive a little deeper into the waters, this time talking about things that only players who have been playing for at least a couple months would know. To start us off, we have the Instrat or IYN. Now this is a forced BedWars strategy introduced by members of the Illumination, which is Jin's guild, and all it means is having two players throw all their gold and bridge to the neighboring bases, and the remaining two teammates defend the bed as well as use the thrown gold to get TNT and follow the bridgers. It was pretty unstoppable back in the day, but in the current day and age there isn't really a surefire way to get a team's bed, as everyone has obviously improved since then, but either way it's still the most popular strategy to use in teams mode. And to go with the most popular strategy, we gotta include the most popular bed defense, the butterfly. This defense was invented by a player named Walk during the first tournament, and you've probably seen it before. It gets its name because the end stone is literally shaped like a butterfly, and then of course it has the glass over top to protect from explosives, but it's super good in teams mode. I still think if you're playing solo or doubles, all you really need is just a good old layer of wool. 8 rushing is when you take the first 8 iron from your generator and just get 32 wool and rush right away. It's meant for super quick rushing maps like Lighthouse and Orchestra, but again, this is one of those things that's pretty obsolete now. It used to work like a charm because nobody was expecting it, but with everyone having improved at the game nowadays, you're better off just playing it safe and waiting for more blocks and TNT. If you watched any BedWars on YouTube back in the day, you probably know who Defone is. Not only is he the current world record holder for the highest win streak ever achieved in BedWars, but his old random doubles commentary videos with Jin are genuinely what inspired me to start making random doubles commentary vids with 80. He left the community for a while, but last year came back better than ever, bringing his doubles Fkdr from 80 to now over 200. Similar to Fkdr, there's another BedWars statistic that some people say is the best determinant of skill, that being the beds broken lost ratio. It should go without saying, but it's the amount of beds you've destroyed divided by the amount you've lost, and it's such a specific stat that the only people I've ever seen actually care about this are people who are going for really good stats on their account. Alright, well that's gonna do it for this video, and don't worry, that's not the end of the iceberg, we're not even halfway. I'm gonna be making a part 2 of this video, which will include the deepest controversies, secrets, and glitches throughout the history of BedWars, but if I tried to cram all that into this video, it would not only be super long, but also would take super long to edit, so I believe splitting up it into 2 videos is the best way to go. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, I really appreciate all of you, and remember, the meetup vlog is premiering in 2 days on November 5th at 4 PM EST. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, I'll see you soon.